Good morning, children. Today we are going to study the lesson number 4 in the part of Civics key elements of a democratic government. The key element of a democratic government is the ability to choose and replace government through fair and free elections. Democratic government is a very popular in the modern world as it based on the power of ordinary people who show their supreme power by selecting the government and removing it when it does not work efficiently. Then, most of the countries of the world have now adopted the democratic form of government because the democracy is the best form of government. The democracy gives people a chance in the decision making and makes the government accountable to the people. As we started your lesson, key elements of a democratic government. South Africa is a country on the southern tip of the African continent which has people several races. साउथ अफ्रीका अफ्रीकन महाद्वीप के दक्षिणी सिरे पर स्थित एक देश है जिसमें कई जातियों को लोग रहते हैं. The ordinary inhabitants of the South Africa are the blacks, the white as well as Indian laborers and traders went and settled there. South Africa was governed by apartheid laws from 1948 to 1991. साउथ अफ्रीका अफ्रीकन महाद्वीप के दक्षिणी सिरे पर स्थित एक देश है जिसमें कई जातियों को लोग रहते. यहाँ का मूल निवासी ओरिजिनल लोग ब्लैक था. इधर इंडियन लोग और व्यापारी लोग यहाँ आकर सेटल किया है. साउथ अफ्रीका 1948 से 1991 तक रंगभेद कानूनों द्वारा शासित था. साउथ अफ्रीका is a country where apartheid was very common. Apartheid means separation of people on the basis of race. Apartheid was an official policy of racial segregation based on skin color. It is practiced by the whites in the South Africa between 1948 and 1991 and 1994. It is called apartheid, means separation of people on basis of race. The laws of forbade people of different races from mingling with each other, living close to each other and even from using common facilities like hospital and ambulances. White people enjoyed better facilities like well-equipped ambulances, better buses and trains. Even bus stops were separate for blacks and white. रंग भेद के आधार पर लोगों को अलग करता है. कानून अलग अलग जातियों का लोगों का दूसरे के साथ घुलने मिलने से मना किया है और लाइक हॉस्पिटल एंड एम्बुलेंस जैसी सामान्य सुविधाओं का उपयोग करने से भी मना किया गया. The apartheid means apartments means under this system people were segregated on the basis of the color of their skin and race. And they considered white people superior or non-white people. It led to the discrimination against non-European groups. During this time of the apartheid, the whites and blacks had to live in separate areas. There were separate schools, separate vehicles, separate buses, separate market for both or races. The blacks did not have to right to vote participate in the activity of the government. White people ने अच्छी तरह से हर सुविधाओं का आनंद लिया जैसे बस, ट्रेन, एम्बुलेंस. एक्सेट्रा। यहाँ इनको उधर इधर जाने के लिए वाइट लोगों को एंड ब्लैक लोगों को अलग अलग बस स्टॉप दे। वाइट लोगों की जाने के लिए अलग अलग बस स्टॉप दे और ब्लैक पीपल को भी अलग बस स्टॉप दे। नॉन वाइट्स डिड नॉट इवन हैव ट्राई टू वॉट and to participate in the activity of the whole activity government। नॉन वाइट लोगों को वोट देने का अधिकार बिल्कुल नहीं था। सबसे अच्छी भूमि वाइट लोगों ने कब्जा कर रखा है। द बेस्ट लैंड्स वर ऑक्युपाइड बाय द वाइट्स while the non-whites had to contend with some of the vast lands in this and many other ways blacks and colored people were not given equal rights as the white। नॉन वाइट्स लोगों को वोट देने के लिए बिल्कुल अधिकार नहीं था। सबसे अच्छी भूमि वाइट लोगों ने कब्जा कर रखा है, जबकि नॉन वाइट्स लोगों को खराब भूमि के साथ संघर्ष करने पड़ा। South Africa, there are people several races. There are black people who belong to South Africa, while people who came there in settled and Indian who came as laborers and traders. The races were allowed to interact with each other, to live near each other as to common facilities. Non-white were not allowed to vote. Black were not to consider to equal whites. In this and many other ways, कई अन्य तरीकों से लोगों की रंगीन लोगों को घोड़ा के समान अधिकार नहीं दिए गए थे। In this and many other ways, black and colored people were not given equal rights and whites। वाइट लोगों को साथ मतलब बराबर हर चीज़ के लिए बराबर नहीं किया गया। Because of the people were segregated on the basis of the color of their skin and race। It is means known as apartheid means apartheid means of form of racial discrimination of segregation that was practiced by the white in South Africa between 1948 and 1991 and 1994 is called apartheid. It's Africans. Apartheid means apartheid under the system of color and skin of race. Hector Peterson was a 13 years old boy who lived in southwestern township, one of the black townships South Africa in 1976. हेक्टर पीटरसन एक 13 साल का लड़का था जो 1976 में दक्षिण अफ्रीका के ब्लैक टाउनशिप में रहता था। During this time, the African language, which was language spoken by the whites, was taught in school। इस समय के दौरान अफ्रीकी की भाषा जो वाइट लोगों ने बोली जाने वाला भाषा थी, ये भाषा स्कूलों में पढ़ाई जाती थी। जो इस समय के दौरान अफ्रीकी की भाषा जो वाइट लोग बोली जाने वाला भाषा थी, ये भाषा स्कूलों में से पढ़ाई जाती थी। The black students were forced to learn this language in place of Zulu, which was their local languages। काले छात्रों का सुलू के स्थान पर इस भाषा को सीखने के लिए मजबूर किया गया था। So Hector and his classmate joined his protest against this। तुरंत इसलिए हेक्टर और उनके सहपाठियों इसके विरोध में शामिल हो गया। मीन्स काला छात्रों को सुलू के स्थान पर इस भाषा को सीखने के लिए मजबूर किया गया था जो उनकी स्थानीय भाषा था। ये भाषा के लिए ये विपरीत किया, मतलब हेक्टर और उसका सहपाठी मतलब क्लासमेट इसके विरोध में शामिल हो गया. The protesters were beaten and shot at the by of South African police. साउथ अफ्रीका पुलिस ने प्रदर्शनकारियों को पीटा और गोली मार दी. वन ऑफ द बुलेट्स हिट्स एक्टर एंड किल्ड हिम. एक गोलियों में से एक ने हेक्टर को मारा और उस गोलियों से ये मार दिया है. अफ्रीकन पुलिस हेक्टर को मारा, तुरंत वो मारा गया. This pitch, one of the bullets Hector and killed him. The picture of him being carried by another student with Hector's sister running beside them became famous worldwide. आपको पिक्चर देख सकता है. हेक्टर की बहन के साथ चल रहे दूसरे छात्र द्वारा साथ की गई तस्वीर दुनिया भर में प्रसिद्ध हो गया. The picture of his being carried by another student with Hector's sister running beside them became famous worldwide. हो हर दुनिया में ये पिक्चर प्रसिद्ध हो गया. Hector was just of the main stories of the horrors of apartheid in South Africa. हेक्टर साउथ अफ्रीकन में रंगभेद की भयावहता की कई कहानियों में से एक थी. The African National Congress and its well known as leader Nelson Mandela fought against the apartheid system of many years. The South African नेल्सन मंडेला और एक प्रसिद्ध नेता मीन्स नेल्सन मंडेला अफ्रीका का एक वन ऑफ द president means of Nelson Mandela. He was known as black leader of South Africa. Lead to the struggle against it, Nelson Mandela fought apartheid system of several years. Ultimately, it came to an end in 1994 when South Africa became the democratic country in which people of all races were considered equal. नेल्सन मंडेला ने एक प्रसिद्ध नेता था वो नेल्सन मंडेला. नेल्सन मंडेला के कई वर्षों तक रंगभेद की प्रणाली के खिलाफ के लिए लड़ाई किया. बहुत साल तक लड़ाई किया. मतलब रंगभेद के लिए एक प्रसिद्ध नेता है अफ्रीका का नेल्सन मंडेला. कई सालों तक प्रणाली के खिलाफ के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी. They finally succeeded in 1994 when South Africa became a democratic country which people races of equal rights. मीन्स 1994 में सफल हुए जब साउथ अफ्रीका एक लोकतांत्रिक देश बना गया जिसमें सभी जातियों को लोगों को समान अधिकार मिला. नेल्सन मंडेला. Nelson Mandela, leader of the African Congress, led the anti-apartheid movement. The movement was launched to deal with the discrimination against the non-whites. For this, he was imprisoned for about 27 years. During this time, Mandela led the movement from prison, agreed to deal, intensified political pressure against apartheid from other countries added to the struggle in South Africa. And Mandela was freed 1919. In 1994, multiracial elections were held and non-whites voted freely. Nelson Mandela emerged victorious and the government was formed with Mandela as the first non-white president of the country. Apartheid was abolished and equality was established between whites and non-whites. साउथ अफ्रीका एक प्रेसिडेंट बन गया है नेल्सन मंडेला as the first non-white president of the country. Your first video has completed.